it. It's cold outside. Sweet. Ignition. Lock out for the 34 ignition proving failure. So, bet this one's going to be simple as well. I'm doing this literally by feel because they hide it. It is the flame sensor in the back. And they're just going to jack right in between them to measure the microamps of it based on that code it gave us. Alright, step one, the draft motor kicks on. Draft motor is going to pull in our pressure switch. Once the pressure switch is pulled in, we should get our igniter in the top corner, glowing nice and orange for us. It's going to take a couple seconds. That click's going to be the igniter. And it looks like no igniter. And that click was the gas valve, so no igniter. Second easiest thing that it could be. Immediately see that it's broken. So next thing we will do is test it for some power. And again, that's our gas valve. And we should reset maybe one more time. Now what we're looking for is 120 volts going back to that igniter. Click should be it, 124. So we have just simply got a bad igniter. This one is not one of the fun ones to replace, only because of the position of it back there. So, if you can see, right there, right in the middle, we've got a nice little burn spot. So this is simply an element with resistance that runs through it. So a bunch of resistance and a bunch of power makes a bunch of heat. And when it cracks right there, that circuit breaks. So then she doesn't get nice and warm for us. But super simple. Got one of these on the chuck. Only hard part ever is getting it in the back there to fit. Part is again done kind of just by feel. Almost, third time's the charm. Okay, she is slid in on the back side. One screw on the front side. One tiny little slot to look through. Using my mirror, I'm just looking to make sure it is centered. Right, kind of off center. Usually want it just to the left or to the right of the burner, but right in line enough so that it will catch. Pretty good. And then also you want to make sure it's not touching anything. No metal fill to lay on it. Okay. We're just going to reattach this little plug here to our new one. So, and it's just a circuit. So, as long as both white wires are attached to either side, you are good. And once I know she lights up good and happy, we will get some wire ties back there to pretty it up a little bit. So, step one is the draft motor. That draft motor just exhausts all the fumes that we make when we burn on fire. That's going to pull in the pressure switch. Once the pressure switch closes, we're going to send power to our igniter. You'll hear a little click on the board there, usually in a couple seconds. And then we should see her light up. That click will give me my light. There we go. Nice and orange back there. And then we'll hear a click for the gas valve right there to open up. I always like to sit to the side for the first light, just in case. And that click is the gas valve. Looks like 1, 2, 3, lit right up, perfect. So I am happy. She is sitting very well in those burners, and you can almost see it back there, just kind of a little bit off center as it cools down. If the igniter is sitting right directly in front of the burner, it of course is in front of all the fire as it's burning, so usually wears them out a little bit quicker. So right to the side where it's just in that little gully is perfect. And that's it. We've got some heat. We'll hear that blower kick on usually 90 seconds after the fire lights. And that'll be any second now here. That's the sound of heat. So you should be very happy. I'm going to cycle it all the way back down just by unplugging that white wire. So burners kick off first, draft motor will kick off next, just to cool everything back down. As soon as I unplug this, of course we're going to kill the power to that furnace. So just let it cycle down first instead of abruptly stopping it. That click was our motor kicking off. Usually it runs between 90 and 120 seconds after you shut everything down. I like to give it just about 15, 30, just to get the majority of the heat out of that furnace before I shut it all the way off. Right. So now we'll hook this guy back up before we put our door on. It's going to give me a code. I think it's a 24, or sometimes it's a 12. Let's see. Code 12. Blower on after door up. So I just put the power back on, putting my bottom door on, and with that double wire hooked up, calling from the thermostat upstairs, it says I just lost, in the middle of a cycle of heat and power. So it's going to run that blower for about 90 seconds usually before we start everything else up again. That's why you don't have to give it that full 90 seconds to cool down. That gives me plenty of time to rebuild the toolbox. I always recommend, before you leave the job, before you put this front panel back on the door, just make sure it's on upstairs. Make sure I know we just saw it run, but once you get that bottom door on, it's got to run again. You'll have bad luck sometimes and it'll tug on a wire or pull something loose or anything like that, and then you've got no heat and you're already down the street. Draft motor pulls in the pressure switch. Or then sends power to the igniter after about 10 seconds. We get 5 to 10 seconds of igniter, and then we'll get a click for the gas valve. Oh, she didn't like that time. That's why we always started all the way up. Make sure I didn't unplug anything, turn anything off, and try it one more time. And she did not like that time, so one more chance. Usually after 3 times she'll lock out. Alright, so one more time, and if it lights with the door off, then you gotta check into that flue line here, make sure she's breathing right, not full of leaves or debris or anything like that. Oh, see, she lights with the door off. There's a little down here on the side. I need to pull something out of it. I'm not feeling my airflow. We just had that freeze overnight, so very possible the air intake is a little bit blocked. Usually you don't have 2 failures, right? So if you don't have an igniter, it's usually only an igniter, but it should get a pretty good breeze through this little hole right here. Let's reset on a pressure switch. So unplug the pressure switch, takes the draft motors out so it kills the fire. Plug her back in. So that time it lit, but I left this side open. I can kind of feel it pulling from the inside here. So we'll let that run for a minute. Let's get the house warming up just a touch with the air from the inside. And then the garage is that way. walk around the side here to go take a look at the fresh air intake. Well, the exhaust is doing great. This guy here has built up on it. You will get like humidity that builds up because, as you can see, this guy here leaks a little bit of water. So sometimes it just freezes. If you've got a gas furnace at your house, you'll probably have to do that eventually. So you can see the difference actually in the flame on the inside. If I take this off, there it goes yellow, because now I'm getting a fresh gust of air in there, but now that it's actually cooling, once I get this back on, nice and blue instead of yellow and starved. So I'll just kind of lock that door switch in for the next guy so he doesn't have a fight with the code that we get. Now we can skedaddle. So super simple. We got a bad igniter. Actually got her right here. We went ahead, changed her out. So this guy is simply what lights that fire down there. We run a whole bunch of resistance through this coil, a whole bunch of power through the resistance, and we've got that little crack right there. So that was our issue. Brand new igniter in, and you are set. Of course, we also had that freeze overnight, so it wasn't breathing too well. Had to go clear some ice from the lines outside. Tested the mechanical safeties and make sure she was gonna kick off and on when she needed to. So I've got some pictures. You're gonna have a full write-up.